Welcome everyone. My name is Kunal Shah and you're watching the Kurious Show. This show is all about being curious about our world and learning through my discussions with my guests from around the world. My guest today is Dr. Joe Handelsman, and I'm going to keep my introduction brief so I can listen and learn more from her. She is the director of the Wisconsin Institute for Discovery at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She previously served as a science advisor to President Barack Obama as the Associate Director for Science at the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy. She was a professor at Yale University and is currently on the faculty at the University of Wisconsin. She's responsible for groundbreaking studies in microbial communication and metagenomics, and widely recognized for her contributions to science education and diversity in science. She has also received the Presidential Award for Excellence in Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Mentoring from President Obama in 2011. Wow, that is amazing. So privileged and so honored to be talking to you. And today we are talking about a book here, A World Without Soil. I can't wait to get into my questions, but first, welcome, Joe Handelsman. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Kamal. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So I am starting a new thing where I have prepared some questions and I'm sharing my screen here. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a roadmap just so people can understand what we are trying to touch upon today, and so they can get a roadmap on what we are talking about. Again, we're discussing Joe Handelsman's book, A World Without Soil. I like this phrase, essential and imperiled, to talk about soil. We are going to be, meeting this invisible silent crisis, and then learning about some of the services that soil provides us and the impact if we don't take care of the soil of this world. Some causes, some anthropogenic causes as well that I hope to learn more about. And then this story can have a hopeful, positive ending, unlike some other crises. So there, you can also learn about some steps that the stakeholders, all of us, can take today that can really mitigate this crisis. So my first question, Joe, can you please introduce us to this crisis that you describe in the book?
Well, sure, Kamal. Thanks for your interest in this crisis. It's really great to find that people are as intrigued by it as I am. The crisis is that we're losing our soil at between 10 times and 100 times the rate at which soil is made. So soil is generated very, very slowly. It's a slow geologic process. And so we're gifted with this beautiful superficial coating on the earth of topsoil, and we're squandering it. We're just washing it away and blowing it away at incredible rates. And so we know that it's not sustainable. There's no calculation that says that that getting rid of it 10 times faster or 100 times faster than it's made is going to make the soil last. So the estimates are that, some parts of the world are already without topsoil, and other parts will be without topsoil in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. But there is pretty much no doubt in most people's estimates that we will struggle to feed the world's population beyond 2050 with the current loss of soil if it continues at this rate.
Wow, that is pretty scary. So, if we then if someone says, okay, yeah, soil could be in crisis, but what is the value of this soil? Why, as you say, it's essential and imperiled. So if we want to understand how is it essential, what are some of the services soil provides us? And then if we don't take care of our soil, what could be some of the consequences and impacts that we could face as a civilization?
Soil is important for food, and most people think of that first, that we use it to grow our gardens and our farms and all of our crops. 95% of the human food supply depends on crops, either that we eat directly or that we feed to our animals. So the soil is pretty important for human nutrition and sustenance. But beyond that, soil is important for managing all sorts of geochemical cycles. So managing the flow of carbon to the atmosphere and into the soil, the transformation of various kinds of nutrients and metals in the soil. It's the place where there's probably greater biodiversity than any other environment on Earth. We know that there are thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands, just bacteria. And that doesn't even count, that's the number of species. That doesn't even count the number of species of fungi, which have not been counted very well, of nematodes, which are tiny worms, other animals and insects that live in the soil, as well as, of course, the plants. So soil is critical for plant life. It's important for biodiversity. It's also the source of most of the antibiotics that we use in modern medicine, because bacteria in the soil are prolific producers of antibiotics. And so antibiotics were in fact first discovered in soil organisms, and we still use soil organisms as the major source. So with all the soil that we're losing, one has to wonder, are we losing drugs, important drugs? And it's not just antibiotics. That's probably the dominant drug that is sourced from the soil, but there are also immunosuppressants from soil. There are anti-cancer drugs, heart drugs. So we're losing a pretty precious resource for food, for human medicine, and for just the biodiversity and balance of the environment.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. I must also mention to the viewers, if you really want to know about how soil can also act as a water filtration system, it's just fascinating, amazing. So I encourage everyone to get the book and just learn more. This is just a glimpse to get you interested in knowing about the book. So now if we understand it's valuable, but then obviously the question is, how do we solve this crisis? And to understand that, we should understand some of the root causes of to get to the solution. One thing that I kind of am trying to understand here, so if we begin at the beginning of the early 20th century with the Haber-Bosch process discovery and nitrogen fertilizers that got invented, and then we go, which the fertilizers lead to better food production, and as population grows, the demand for food increases, pressures on the farmers who end up adopting farming practices that turn out to be not so soil protective, which leads to soil erosion. And this cycle then of soil erosion leading to greenhouse gas emissions, which obviously would lead to climate change events, frequent events like rainstorms, windstorms, and then which would obviously cause more soil erosion and on and on. So, and also this amazing duet that you mentioned, soil erosion and climate has like this, two-way street going on. So is this somewhat on track? And then I call it the soulmates, the soil mates, the soil and climate, I never realized they have such deep connections. So could you provide some thoughts on this situation going on here?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the crux of the issue at the environmental level, that climate is progressively getting worse, which means we're having more severe storms, more severe weather of all kinds, rain and hurricane and tornado events, and all sorts of wind events. And those are the events that degrade soil and whisk it away, either in water or wind. So as climate progresses and the climate intensifies, these weather events are going to continue to intensify the pressure on soil. At the same time, as soil erodes, some soils release greenhouse gases. And as some soils are degraded by other processes, like the peat soils in Scotland and Indonesia, are burned very often. And when that carbon is burned, it just goes into the atmosphere as greenhouse gases. And so there are a lot of ways that climate is affected by soil, but that climate also affects soil. We also know that soil is a great sink for carbon. So if we use it properly, soil could be a way of combating climate change, by depositing more carbon in the soil and stabilizing it there. So it's a cycle that can be reversed and turned the other way. So you've got it exactly right, that the soil is essential, that the soil is being destroyed in part by the worsening climate. And then that in turn makes the climate even worse because it ends up with more carbon in the atmosphere. The other major effect, and this is what we do have control over, is the effect of farming and usage of soil and how that degrades the soil and causes it to erode. And so that's where the very simple actions, and as you said, the very optimistic ending of the book is that if we put our minds to it, we can stop erosion very rapidly. And that's just by changing farming practices so that we're not breaking down the structure of the soil and making it more vulnerable to erosive processes.
Yeah, so I wanted to get to the solutions, the farming practices that you mentioned. I did take some inspiration from your book where you, let me make sure I got this slide here. Okay. So you had a brief interlude where you talked about soil classification systems, and I was thinking about having a short story segment in between before we get to the solutions for this crisis. And, I must ask, if you could share a President Obama story or a moment with, during your time working with him. And if you can't think of that, then I have an option, a book writing process story moment, writing the book. If you can think of any moments, was it easy? Were you up all night? How any of that. And I have a small or pass if you can't answer either of those, but hopefully you can.
Well, I can say in general, working with President Obama as a science advisor was a tremendous privilege and opportunity. Yeah. And one of the reasons for that was, of course, I love science and I love teaching science, but he was the best student in the world for science because he absolutely loves science. And so it was really a special chance to work with a president who was eager to learn science. And when you went to meet with him, the science was often the top item in his day, his favorite part of the day. So, how many people get that opportunity to be the president's favorite topic? So that was pretty tremendous. He was also very interested in microbiology, and of course, the microbiology of the soil is the story of soil. I mean, it is a home to incredible microbial diversity and microbial activity. So working with Obama was a great place to be, to care about soil, to care about microbes, a lot of the things that I care about. But I didn't even realize how bad the soil crisis was until I was actually in the White House. And I've been working in soil microbiology for many decades. And I had just sort of missed that we didn't really fix the soil crisis when I thought we did. Many of us thought that when no-till farming came along, which is the process of drilling seeds into the land instead of plowing it and breaking down the structure of the soil, many of us thought that that the soil crisis would end and that soil erosion would be stopped because all the farmers would adopt no-till farming. And I kind of lost track of it after that and didn't worry as much about it because when I was in school, people thought that the problem was pretty much done. When I started looking at it when I was in the White House, I was shocked to find that only 1/3 of American farmers have adopted no-till planting. And in other parts of the world, many more farmers have. In Brazil, for example, I think it's about 3/4 of the farms practice no-till farming. So it's kind of appalling that no-till was discovered and invented in the United States, and the United States doesn't use it. Many other countries don't use it as well. Right. And so the soil crisis was anything but solved. We also began to go to much more intensive in this country, and I think many others, financial pressures have made farmers go to much more intensive cropping with a smaller number of crops. And so there's less crop rotation. I know here in the Midwest of the US where I live, sometimes farmers will plant corn 3 or 4 years in a row. And corn is terrible for the soil. It's one of the worst plants for the soil because it leaves no carbon behind. At the end of the season, a corn plant will leave about 1% of its carbon in the soil, whereas some of the traditional native plants will leave 70% of their carbon in the soil. So you imagine the difference of 150 years ago, when most of where I live was in prairies with very, very deep rooted prairie plants that fed the soil, to fast forward today, where we have corn after corn after corn crop that is just taking carbon from the soil and putting all of the nutrients and energy into making an ear of corn, not into making healthy soil. That's a very different picture. So that was what I discovered when I was in the White House, and I was kind of shocked. Like, how could I be a soil scientist and not know this? But I kind of focused in on my research, my area of soil microbiology. So that's when I became really passionate about doing something about this crisis. And I didn't feel when I left the White House at the end of Obama's term that we were done. And so that's when I decided to write the book, because I felt that the world needed to know about this. And it was a crisis that, as you called it, a silent crisis, it's just not being talked about.
Yep. Thank you so much for sharing that wonderful story. I mean, yeah, when I read the beginning of the book where you mentioned that this would be the memo that you would have wished that you would have written to President Obama, and then this is the memo to all of us. Now we can do something about it. So that was pretty inspiring. So now we get to the solutions, and you mentioned no-till planting. I mentioned how it's like a combination of one part of the solution is we can think of as know-how plus financial, getting the knowledge that we can learn from indigenous cultures, combining that with recent scientific developments like intercropping, the strips program that you mentioned. And so these best practices, no-till planting, cover crop use, etc., combining that with the financial, where the farmers, if they go, yeah, we have the knowledge, but how can we get over the initial hump? The government has to come in, because if food shortage is an issue, then it can be a geopolitical issue at the end. If countries start having issues with the food production, so at some point government could take a strong role here, and then there has to be a role for other stakeholders, private stakeholders. Maybe some programmers could develop an app for accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Academics, everyone has to join in, citizens, and so could you share some thoughts on the solutions?
Sure. So you listed on your slide exactly the methods that are so important. No-till planting, cover cropping, and intercropping would solve the problem. The question is how to get people to engage in those. And so in the long run, those are actually very profitable for farmers, because these practices will enrich the soil so much that the farmers can apply less fertilizer, so they save on costs there. The question is, how do you deal with that in the short term? Because the short term may not be as profitable. It may cost them intercropping will reduce their crop. So if they intercrop, it means they're planting less corn or less soybean or whatever their crop is. And so that may pay off in 5 or 6 years, but how do we get them to that point? Because most farmers in the world work on the edge. They're financially not that productive and solvent. And maybe very, very large farms have the means to make this transition. But most small farmers, which is most of the farmers in the world, who farm most of the land of the world, the smallholders, don't have those kinds of margins. They don't have the flexibility of funds to get them past these initial costs. And so you're absolutely right. We need government engagement. I think we need consumers. The people who are buying the food could be demanding that their food be produced in soil safe conditions. And then we need local solutions as well as these big global solutions for farmers, things like, municipal composting. Communities can do that starting tomorrow if they want to. And that may not solve the global problem, but it sure will enhance the carbon that's put into soil in the short term.
Yeah, and I also love the solution you mentioned, the soil safe labels. I mean, that is such a creative, but such a cool idea. I mean, some country at some point is going to do it, and we'll see who's first to do it. But just amazing, an amazing solution. And again, the viewers should get the book to find out more about that. So this brings to me to my last slide, if I can. Yeah. So what are some of the projects, that you're working on now? I came across these resources while I was doing research for this talk here and discussion, Tiny Earth Network, and then the study you did and the VIDS project videos that you guys created. So I wanted to just add this here so that people can check these out to know more about the person who's written this book. So any other projects that you're working on, and if you could mention a word or two on these projects.
Well, the Tiny Earth Network is an international network of students who are college students who are learning about soil and then isolating antibiotic producing bacteria from soil. So probably many of your viewers know we're facing another crisis, which is the human health crisis of antibiotic resistance developing in many of our bacterial pathogens. So we need more antibiotics. And so one of the ideas I had was to get a very large workforce of students to address this problem, because industry is not taking a role in it sufficiently to solve the problem. So we teach instructors from all over the world how to teach this course. We have 30 countries engaged, from India to Denmark to Indonesia to Colombia, South America. And we get together annually for a symposium. The students present their work. So we do it now virtually, of course, because of COVID, and students from all over the world can present their work and describe the kinds of discoveries that they've made with antibiotic producing bacteria. And it serves as a course in many universities where it's taught, that satisfies various kinds of credit for microbiology, for general lab courses. Some use it as an introductory biology course, but we like students to take it early in their college career so that they really capture the excitement and the thrill of discovery, which is what science is all about. Doing science is about discovery. And so we want them to find that out early, before they maybe take courses they don't like as much in college, and leave science, which unfortunately, at least in this country, many of them do. The VIDS project was an attempt to change unconscious biases. These are biases that people don't intend to apply, but they do apply to their judgments about other people and their projects. And to make the world a fairer place, we all have to become aware of those biases and not allow ourselves to apply them to people and to decision making. And so the videos on the VIDS project are examples of how biases can play out in the scientific workforce, and then have some suggestions of what can be done about it. And Soil Rocks is my Twitter handle. And then we also have a website for the book, which has recent talks and articles and things about soil, and that is soilrocks.org. And I invite everybody to visit that website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, such a rich background, working on so many different, areas. So any last thought on the soil crisis, were just parting thoughts?
Closing thoughts are just soil is beautiful. Soil is a wonderful substance. It's a source of great mystery, but also of great discovery. And I just want the world to appreciate it and then try to preserve it. So I hope people will join with me in saving our soil.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you so much, Joanne Handelsman, for doing this. I'm just truly grateful for you to come on. Thanks.
Thank you, Kamal. I thank you for your interest in the book and in soil.
Thank you.